What is going on, guys? This is the Inside Blue Podcast, episode 68. And today, breaking down the Giants preview against the Green Bay Packers. Big game for both teams. Giants trying to, collect some wins at the end of the season, or they're trying to lose and get a better draft pick. And for Green Bay, they have a realistic shot at making the playoffs. They're 6-6 right now. Big games coming up, especially this one against the Giants on the road. They've struggled on the road. So, it'll be interesting to see how this Green Bay team faces off against this Giants team that, I think some of the Giants guys in that locker room, they don't think their season's over. Saquon Barkley has said this season isn't over. He still thinks that there's a chance that this Giants team can make the playoffs. And I know a lot of things have to happen if that, is the case and the Giants do want to make the playoffs. But listen, they got a hard schedule. And I mean, as a fan, we have different, perspectives and the players, because the players trying, stay positive all year long, trying to keep things, in the right place. But, this is a Giants team that has not really, met the expectations, right? You make the playoffs last year, and then you look at it and, now they're, back to square one where you're getting a top pick and, maybe that top pick helps out your team. I mean, they did it a few seasons ago. Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, has been a really good draft pick thus far. I know Evan Neal has not been, the guy that, we thought was. We thought we were going to get two really nice tackles, Evan Neal on one side, Andrew Thomas on the other side, and we would just be really solid. But that's not the case this year. This Giants team has not done well. And, this team has to start playing better. They have to start putting in consistent seasons because I'm tired of just seeing them go in another losing season. Another season, fans are getting a little happy. Maybe there's a different outcome, same outcome. I mean, this team is it's a whole cycle, I feel like. This team, they make the playoffs one year, just like in 2016, makes the playoffs. Take on Green Bay, they get smacked. Now they go into, last year, make the playoffs, they win a game, and then they get spanked by the Eagles 38-7, whatever it was. Now this team has to build forward from that. They shouldn't be taking another step back, and that's what the problem has been. They keep going forward and then taking steps back, and that's just not a good recipe for success. This Giants team, at least they have good management now, unlike Dave Gettleman, who really put this team into the ground. Ton of top picks. You can't really name many that have really, provided a big impact aside from Andrew Thomas, aside from Xavier McKinney. There hasn't really been a big-time superstar that Dave Gettleman has gotten aside from Andrew Thomas and Xavier McKinney. Drafting has been poor in these last few years. I mean, I feel like if you're a team that is so bad, eventually your team is just going to get good because you have all these top picks. I mean, look at some of the teams now. Texans are starting to look like a better team, even though they lost against the Jets. The Jaguars, I feel like, there was some years that wasn't really good for them, and now they got Trevor Lawrence and they got, all these solid players. Now they're starting to put out good seasons. They have a good coach as well. I'm not saying Brian Daboll's a bad coach at all. I think Brian Daboll is the perfect fit for this team. But if he wants to run his offense, his West Coast offense, you're going to have to get playmakers. And whether that's in the draft or you're signing one, because there are some decent wide receivers, I think, in this free agent class. I think Tyler Boyd could be decent. But this team needs a wide receiver one. I know Tyler Boyd is there, Gabe Davis. I don't think Gabe Davis is really anything much. But this team needs to get better. And I'm tired of it. I know this is only my first season, breaking us down on this podcast, but it's been frustrating, man. The season's been really frustrating because I felt like, okay, they lost to the Niners. Week 1, they lost to Dallas, two really good teams. But then when I saw them lose to some of these other teams, I was like, what is going on? I felt like there were some games that you could have won. You could have definitely won that Bills game, could have definitely won that Jets game, and you would have been in a better spot. You'd be 6-6, and you'd be taking on Green Bay, both 6-6. Both teams need a win to, get closer to the playoffs, but that's not the case. And, it sucks. I know it sucks, and Green Bay is a pretty good team in my opinion. I think Green Bay is definitely a sneaky team that can make this playoffs. I think Jordan Love has looked really good. I think their defense is starting to play better. I think, and Jordan Love doesn't have elite weapons, but there's been guys like Jaden Reed who have stepped up. A bunch of other players have really, really stepped up and played well. And for the Giants, I mean, just go out there and play well, right? That's the goal. I know this team is still trying to win games, even though fan base does not want them to win it all. They want to tank. They want to get Joe Alt. They want to get maybe a top quarterback if they really suck that bad and Patriots start to win more games, or the Panthers, but Panthers have been atrocious. They just got killed by the Saints as I'm recording this, but I'm recording this on a Sunday. And yeah, I mean, I look at this Giants team, you see what the needs are. This team needs offensive line. They're allowing a ton of sacks. They need a wide receiver one, like I said. I still think taking a quarterback is not out of the question in this year's draft. I think if they really like Jaden Daniels, they might take Jaden Daniels. I don't know if it's at 5, but I think Jaden Daniels is a guy that's definitely in the picture. But I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to be a Giant, though. I think they're going to go with Joe Alt or Fashanu. I think those are real. I think it has to be offensive line in this picture because that's your main need. Your offense, needs, like, even, dude, if this team even had a mediocre offensive line, they would make some of these games way closer than they were. I think that Seattle game, for an example, I don't think Seattle is an elite team, like top end dog, but I think they're a good team, and they don't have the greatest offensive line in the league, really except for like Dallas or Buffalo or Cleveland, teams like that, Baltimore, Eagles. Those teams have offensive line, but you also have to realize they drafted them. Tyler Smith, Tyrone Smith, Zach Martin, all those guys in Dallas drafted and trade for them. You never see a team go and trade for an offensive lineman. You just don't. You draft them. Homegrown, you draft them. And if this team can start drafting well, I think this Giants team could be good. But that's the issue. This, the NFL is a lot different than like baseball and NHL and stuff. NFL, if you're not drafting well at all, you're not going to be a good football team. You're really not. Unlike in baseball where you could really just buy any players and all that. It's two completely different sports. But anyways, Giants are taking on Green Bay. A lot, it's mainly, this video is mainly for Green Bay. It's really if they win this game, they move to 7-6. Where do they go from here? Right? Do they, if they move to 7-6, I don't think their schedule is too hard. It'll be interesting how, they do for the rest of the year. I think Green Bay is a sneaky playoff team, man. I really do. I think they could be a team that could shock some people. I mean, they just beat the Kansas City Chiefs the previous week. And the Chiefs have been a way different team than their previous years. Because, newsflash, people are starting to defend Kelsey much better than they have. And they're losing games. They lost again today to the Buffalo Bills in a must-win game for Buffalo. And Buffalo got it done. So props to Buffalo. Kansas City struggling. Giants, we don't know what's going to go on at MetLife. But if I, had to make, some sort of a prediction or something like that, I mean, I'm going to take this. I'm going to go 26-13 Packers. That is going to be my prediction. I think the Giants lose again. They move to 4-9. And I honestly don't know if I see another game on the schedule where the Giants could realistically be like, oh, I think we can win this. I mean, I think maybe the Saints, but the Saints are a pretty good team. The Rams are not bad. Green Bay, Saints, or Rams, those are only 3 matchups where you can really realistically pull out a win. Because I don't know if this team's going to pull out a win against Philly, even if they start their backups, man, because Philly is just so deep. They're such a deep team, and that's why they're just so good. So, like, when they have injuries, you know, it's not the end of the world because they have such a deep team. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hopefully a good game. Even though I said 26-13, hopefully it's a good game because listen, there hasn't been many games where I'm like, oh, sick, amazing win, because these 4 wins have not been against good opponents, man. You beat 2 against Washington, you beat New England Patriots, and you beat the Arizona Cardinals. Most of those teams are fighting for a top pick, if not all of them. Technically, actually, all of them are, which I can't be proud of those 4 victories. But we'll see how Tommy DeVito does. We haven't really talked about him much, but he's been pretty good. Um, we'll see how that goes with Tommy DeVito because DeVito's done his job well, right? He stepped in, and maybe he could be a backup for us in the future instead of Tyrod Taylor, which I don't know really much to say about Tyrod. He's probably not going to play another snap this year. I think Tommy DeVito's just going to get the rest of the games, but can't be mad about how Tommy's playing. He's not been playing that bad, and he's kind of starting something in New York, right? Tommy Cutlets, all that stuff. He's really starting something, and that's what you need, man. You need a guy that can really boost your squad up and fight together, and that's kind of what Tommy DeVito is. I'm not saying he's gonna come and be some superstar or be the next Brock Purdy, but hey, he could be something something decent that we can settle with because the plan is that Daniel Jones is going to be a week 1 starter, unless somehow they love a QB in the draft like Jaden Daniels or someone else where they're like, okay, we're taking him. Daniel Jones' time in New York is pretty much done. We're going to stop. We're going to stop starting Daniel Jones, and we're going to cut him and save that $20 million, which I think is probably the plan. They made this contract to be if things don't work out, they can just cut him and save some money. But next Giants video, going to be doing a mock draft again. I know you guys have really liked those. I appreciate all the support. And listen, man, this is a game that is winnable. Green Bay is a good team, but we don't know what type of Jordan Love. His last four of his last 5 games, he has had a passer rating over 100, and that's scary. But anyways, let's go Giants, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.